iPhone 13 on us for every customer. Current, new, everyone. To show the love.
Black Star Network is it.
Oh, no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? Today is Friday, June 17, 2022. Here's what's coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. A 13-year-old running away from cops stops with his hands up, gets shot in the back by a Chicago cop. We'll talk with the boy's attorney who lays out the facts from his perspective in this case. There was no hearing today for the January 6th committee, but we'll speak with a Georgia congressman fighting to protect voters in the state against Donald Trump's attempted coup. Also, we are 1 day away from the Poor People's Campaign Moral March on Washington, D.C. We'll continue focusing on fathers of the movement and tell you what to expect at tomorrow's march. Folks, of course, in our Education Matters segment, we'll talk to another UNCF president about what he is doing at Talladega College to make some significant changes. It is time to bring the funk. I'm Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, y'all. It's rolling Martin, yeah. Rolling with rolling now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's rolling Martin now.
Folks, in Chicago, a newly released surveillance video shows the moment an unarmed teen gets shot in the back with his hands up by a Chicago cop. Folks, this is that particular video. See there where cops converged in this particular case here. And it, of course, it is quite devastating when it comes to dealing with Cedric Lofton, of course. Now, folks, on Tuesday, we spoke with another client of our next guest. But let's start from the top again. Again, graphic video here we're showing right here. So let's reset it again. Certainly unsettling there, and it's always difficult when you sort of have these stories. Andrew Stroth, managing partner, Action Injury Law Group, joins us right now. Andrew, glad to have you. First of all, what initially did cops lay out in this case? Did it differ from what the video actually shows?
Well, I would say this, Roland. In Chicago, there's a history, pattern, and practice of officers shooting, as you know, young black men, and in this case, a young black boy with a foot pursuit. There was a call regarding a vehicle that was stolen. Cops responded, and what happened was my client was a passenger in a vehicle. He got out of that vehicle, ran away. The officers asked him to put his hands up. He put his hands up and was shot in the back, unarmed, without cause or provocation, shot in the back. I'm actually going to be at Shirley Ryan Rehab Center tomorrow because this young 13-year-old black boy is fighting to be able to walk again. He loves to play basketball. He loves to ride his bike, and without cause or provocation was shot. And when that's just one of the videos. When the body cam video is released and the other surveillance video is released, it's clear. You see the young man running, you see him obeying the officer's commands, and then they not only do they shoot him and severely injure his spinal cord, his esophagus was also blown up, and then if you see in the video, they drag him without any care away from the location where he was shot. So it's tragic, and Roland, as you know, the city of Chicago is under a federal consent decree for the use of excessive and unreasonable force by officers. And my question for Lori Lightfoot, the mayor, my question for Superintendent David Brown, the chief of police, is how many young black boys and children need to be injured or killed before the city of Chicago will put in place a foot pursuit policy, Roland, that values the sanctity of life, especially black and brown lives?
Okay, so what happened here? Now, again, was he being pursued by police? Was this so? What really happened here?
He was being pursued by police. He was being pursued by police
for what?
For being in a car that was stolen. So he was in a stolen car.
Was he the passenger in a stolen car? Or was he the driver?
He was the passenger. He was passenger in a stolen car. Correct.
Okay. How old is he?
So he's literally 13 years young.
Has his name been released?
His initials have been released in the lawsuit. This happened May 18th. We filed a federal civil rights lawsuit May 26th. His initials AG are in the lawsuit, but we're not releasing his name because he's a minor and because of the mother's wishes. But let's be clear, Roland, the mother wants all of the videos released, all of the body cameras released, and that has not been released. The video that you're seeing now was recovered from the gas station that another media outlet was able to obtain.
Again, now does the video actually show that his hands were up?
Yeah, when you look at the video, once all the video is released and there's clearer video from the body cam evidence, you'll see it's obvious that he's unarmed, and it's obvious that his hands are up. And then based on the medical documentation, it's obvious that he was shot in the back.
And again, as we saw the video, guys, roll it back, and again, slow it down as you play it forward. Take it back further. Now stop. Now you see right. Okay, play the video. Freeze. Now roll it back. Now he's turning around. He's running. His hands are up. He's turning around. So nowhere in there does it show that he has a weapon or anything along those lines. And so, again, this is part of the thing we always talk about. Why shoot if someone's running away and clearly here there's no weapon?
Exactly right, Roland. So when they talk about the Adam Toledo case or the Anthony Alvarez case or any of those other cases, the victim, the young black kid, actually had a weapon, and they still shouldn't have been shot. In this case, it's evident and clear that this young man, this young boy, did not have any weapon, did not present a threat, and was unjustifiably shot in the back. And now this young man may never walk again.
Now, the shooting again took place when?
It took place on May 18th on the near west side of Chicago.
And so the videos you're referencing, have those been released? Have they given a date when it's going to be released?
No, the Civilian Office of Police Accountability, the City of Chicago have not released the video. We're going to file a motion with the court to demand the release of the video. And Roland, I'll tell you this, and that's why I also really appreciate you having me on your show. This case is a very high-profile case, and the FBI, the Cook County State's Attorney's Office, and the Civilian Office of Police Accountability have an active pending investigation into this shooting to evaluate the officer's conduct. The other thing that's so disturbing about this case is it's my understanding that this officer was involved in another shooting, a foot pursuit shooting in the past year. So this case, the world needs to look at this case because it's another young black boy shot in the back unjustifiably by the police.
Let's talk also, you represent the family of Cedric Lofton, who died at a Kansas juvenile detention center. A lawsuit has been filed in that case. Just share with us about that lawsuit.
So we just filed that lawsuit this past Monday in Wichita, Kansas, against the officers from the Wichita Police Department, as well as the officials at the Juvenile Intake and Assessment Center. That case, as you know, Roland, was a 17-year-old boy, unarmed again, who was taken into custody, suffering a mental health crisis, and instead of taking him to a hospital for treatment, they put him in a wraps restraint and then brought him into the facility, and for 39 minutes held him in the prone position, face down, and they took his breath away. And just a few days later, he died.
All right, then. We'll certainly keep us abreast of what happens in this Chicago case. Andrew Stroth, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Appreciate you. Take care.
Folks, my panel today, joining us right now, is Kelly Bethea, communication strategist, Terrain Walker, founder of Context Media, Michael Imhotep, hosts the African History Network show. Terrain, let's start with you. First and foremost, this is one of the things that we keep talking about. Officers who their natural reaction, their first reaction is to shoot first, ask questions later.
Well, you know, we see these cases so many times, and it's the same routine. I do want to push back on something that the attorney said. What people have to understand is, in the United States of America, black people are never truly unarmed. You have your black skin, you have you're a black man. That is automatically considered a weapon in this society. And the law enforcement mentality in America says if you are black, you are automatically guilty. And if you carry black skin, or if you make any sort of move, and even if you don't make any sort of move that makes them threatened, you can be targeted for death, or you can be targeted for being maimed. You know, this happens in the black community so often that it's almost like a parallel of what happens in other communities when we're talking about mass shootings. We have this conversation in America now about mass shooters in the wake of Buffalo and Uvalde, but we don't think about police killings in black communities in the same way. And I think we really have to start looking at this as a pandemic, as sort of a pandemic situation where law enforcement has to really see the humanity of black people. And I don't know what it's going to take to make that happen. We've been through this ever since we got here. I don't know what an inquiry is going to do, especially in Chicago. I mean, Chicago has a backlog of police brutality against black people going back to the 1920s. So, I mean, I'd like to see some movement on that, but I don't know what this is going to change. I'm sorry.
You know, when we see so many of these cases, Michael, it just simply boils down to these cops. It doesn't matter if somebody's running away. They believe they have the license to shoot someone regardless if they're running away, which makes no sense.
Yeah, absolutely, Roland. In many cases, you know, just when we have cases where people are just running away unarmed, it makes no sense to shoot them, and it's illegal as well. One of the things it was a couple of things I was trying to find out from this case, having read the article from the Associated Press for May 26. One, did the officer say stop, turn around to the 13-year-old boy? I couldn't figure that out. Two, I know at one point, according to the Associated Press, it said that the 13-year-old had his arms raised to surrender. Now, when he turned around, I couldn't tell from the videotape, but thanks for showing the video. When he turned around, did he still have his arms raised? I was trying to find that out. And third, I'm trying to find out, have any statements been made by the attorney for the officer? Why did he shoot? You know, there's still things that have yet to be answered in this case. I read the statement from Police Superintendent David Brown as well, saying the fleeing teenager turned around, turned toward the officer, and the officer fired. Why did you fire? So there's a lot of questions here that need to be answered.
Kelly.
This is somewhat triggering, actually very triggering for me, because we're talking about a 13-year-old boy. This is a child. This is someone's baby. And it is exhausting to see this day in and day out of officers of any color at this point not recognizing the innocence of children in compromising situations such as this. The only time I'm able to recall anything remotely like cops acknowledging children in compromising situations is when it's a white boy with a gun. And this is a black boy with no gun who is fighting for his life right now in a hospital because, like the other panelists said, they saw his skin as a weapon. But in the broader sense of things, this is just one of those times where, once again, bullets should never be in the due process process. Like there's no room for that there. This boy did not get due process. He got persecuted before he was even able to speak. You know, and I'm just tired of it. I don't want the circumstances of this shooting to override the fact that the cop was wrong and the cop was biased and the cop shot before he thought, which is the most dangerous thought process you can even have when you have that much power in your hand by way of a gun. My sympathies out to the family and my prayers to the young man, the boy rather, and I just hope that he heals, because we don't need any more dead children at the hands of police.
Let's stay in Chicago. The Chicago police officer caught on camera attacking a woman walking entered a not guilty plea at his hearing today. Former officer Bruce Dykers caught charges of aggravated battery and official misconduct come from the August encounter with Nikita Brown. Brown was walking her dog when Dyker grabbed her, telling her to leave. She believes the attack was racially motivated. He resigned after 23 years last month. Nikita has filed a federal lawsuit claiming excessive force being used against her. All right, folks, got to go to a break. We come back. We'll talk about January 6th committee. Jenny Thomas continues to stay in the news. And, of course, the investigation in Georgia, the impact that is having, where Donald Trump could very well be indicted for his criminal acts in trying to get officials there to change the vote count so he could win. Oh, don't forget, Senator Lindsey Graham, he also inquired. All of them should be indicted. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
Verizon just gave us all a brand new iPhone 13.
We've been customers for years.
I thought new phones were for new customers.
We got iPhone 13s too, switched to Verizon 2 minutes ago.
Ours were busted, and we still got a shiny new one.
Check it out. So wait, everybody gets the same great deal.
I think that's the point.
iPhone 13 on us for every customer. Current, new, everyone. On any unlimited plan, starting at just $35. All on the network more people rely on.
On A Next, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie, we're talking all things mental health and how helping others can help you. We all have moments where we have struggles, and on this week's show, our guests demonstrate how helping others can also help you. Why you should never stop giving and serving others on A Next, A Balanced Life here on Black Star Network.
Love our new Alexa.
It's a Buick.
Yeah, Alexa.
Buick.
Alexa.
It's a Buick.
It's an Alexa. It's a Buick. It's an Alexa. Coach, that's a Buick. That's an Alexa.
The Buick Enclave with available Alexa built in.
We're all impacted by the culture, whether we know it or not. From politics to music and entertainment, it's a huge part of our lives, and we're going to talk about it every day right here on The Culture with me, Faraji Muhammad, only on the Black Star Network.
How about sushi?
I just had sushi for lunch yesterday.
How about tacos?
Automatic emergency braking, one of 6 advanced safety features standard on every 2022 Chevy Equinox. Find new technology. Find new roads. Chevrolet.
You want me to do something crazy, but I don't know what to do. I'd rather just sit here.
Hi, this is Cheryl Lee Ralph, and you are watching Roland Martin, Unfiltered. I mean, could it be any other way? Really? It's Roland Martin.
The House January 6th committee showcasing the thuggish behavior of Donald Trump and all of his imps continue to provide shocking details about what they tried to do to overturn the 2020 election. There's no hearing today, but more information continues to come out regarding how Donald Trump helped to orchestrate the attempted coup. One of the states mentioned in the investigation is Georgia. We might remember Trump asked Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger to find the 11,780 votes he needed to beat Vice President Joe Biden in Georgia. Now, during a hearing about voter fraud, one Georgia state representative made it clear she was not playing games.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Historically, Republicans have been the ones who have really used absentee mail-in voting, as you call it. But in this last election, we definitely did see more Democrats pick up and start to use mail-in balloting. We saw that 65% of Biden's votes in Georgia did come from absentee voting, and we saw that 35% of Trump's voters did use mail-in voting. That's almost 500,000 folks who voted for Trump who actually used mail-in voting. So clearly over time, mail-in voting has now become more bipartisan. And so it just seems kind of odd to me that you are testifying and launching an attack on using mail-in voting, because I just don't remember from other Republicans, I don't remember in general there being such an attack against absentee voting when it was mostly Republicans using it. So it seems to me that this new kind of upspring about Democrats, largely black and brown voters who are using mail-in voting as of this year so much, it just really seems interesting to me that this is such a hot topic now about why people are using mail-in and exactly the process that goes along with it. I would encourage everybody to disregard your testimony. I mean, no disrespect to you, but it just, to me, a lot of the things that you're saying just don't make a lot of sense. And it is interesting that you did talk about your civil rights credentials and committees and things that you've served on, because you definitely have said things like you think it's okay to write down license plate numbers of voters.
That's not true. That's absolutely not true. Never said anything of the like.
You've said that people are playing the race card, ignoring the history of voter suppression in this country for black and brown voters. So I just think that I just want to shed some light on the perspectives of which you're coming from. My specific question is, why are you now launching such an attack against absentee voting? Because almost 500,000 voters in Georgia voting for Trump, that's a lot of votes. This is a bipartisan effort to use mail-in voting. So just tell me exactly why you're launching this.
First of all,
Mr. Adams, please do not comment any further on this. She's made her statement. That's enough. We have pending litigation. I would ask that you not respond any further to her.
Well,
please.
I understand that, but she said some things that weren't true that I said. So I feel compelled to explain. I'm not coming at this from a Republican. I'm coming at this from somebody who's watched absentee balloting for a very long time. And by the way, I was against expanded absentee balloting 5 years ago before this was a partisan issue. So that's the first response. Secondly, those things you said that I said, such as license plates, flamingly false. Flamingly false. And defamatory.
All right, joining us right now is Representative Shannon, who's also the Democratic nominee for Lieutenant Governor. She joins us now from Atlanta. Glad to have you back on the show. So explain this to folks, the committee that you are on, and what Trump wanted that Republican-dominated committee to do.
Sure. So thank you for having me, Roland. It's a pleasure to be here. Yes, this hearing took place a month before January 6th. And so this was at the time where the Trump lawyers were appearing before key swing state legislatures, attempting to get legislatures to think that something was wrong with their elections that they had just had, particularly here in Georgia, to get us all on the committee to think that something was wrong with the elections, so that then they could move a process where we would either redo the election, but really what they wanted was for all of us to decide that the election had been fraudulent and that the votes need to be tossed out of Georgians, and that the House of Representatives would ultimately select the electors. So what you saw in that clip was the Trump lawyers. The gentleman I was going back and forth with is somebody who came from the Bush DOJ and has a long history, regardless of what he says about that's not true. He has a long history of going into places that have experienced voter suppression historically, going in and kicking black and brown voters off of the rolls. And it was because of that his service with DOJ was not very long.
The thing that's interesting here, again, as you watch this, I mean, it is undeniable what happened here, and that is they wanted to steal the election. They were pissed off that people did not vote for Donald Trump. You have the Fulton County investigation going on by the DA there, where they could potentially be indicted. One of the things, though, that I think is important that has to be stated is there has to be a situation in this country where people they got to stop being afraid of holding this man accountable. When he was impeached, it was Senator Susan Collins who said, she believed that he learned his lesson. He got more brazen. Mm-hmm. If the Department of Justice does not indict him, mm-hmm. if the Fulton County DA does not indict him, if the New York Attorney General does not indict him, do folks understand that this man will go even further in 2024?
That's absolutely correct. And I think a lot of folks are realizing what Black Americans have known for a long time, which is powerful white men a lot of times are above the law. And that's not the way that democracy should work. Just like when they came to my committee, Governmental Affairs, which you saw the clip, they were trying to present themselves as election integrity experts, which they were not. And so I felt it was important to reflect the true, background that these folks come from, because what they were trying to do was something that we've never seen in history before. They were trying to overturn a legitimate election because black and brown voters showed up and said they did not want to reelect a committed white supremacist in chief, that being the former president.
And it was Georgia Republicans who got further pissed off with the elections of Warnock and Ossoff. And mm-hmm. they immediately began to say, hey, we got to change the law. And now, even though you had Republicans who were over the elections, who were saying there was no voter fraud, they still didn't care. Trump wins Texas. What are you going to change the law anyway? You look at other places. So what you have here is a party, and let me be real clear, because this is the problem that I sort of had with the January 6th committee. They are framing this thing as Donald Trump. No, they have to peel the onion. They've got to show people that this is the entire party. This is top down, bottom up. These are national people, state people, local people. They have fully bought into this. And so if we just keep trying to make this thing out to be about Donald Trump, that was the mistake that Hillary Clinton made in 2016 when she tried to separate him from the Republican Party. It's the mistake that President Joe Biden keeps doing when he mm-hmm. keeps acting as if there's another Republican Party out there. No, they ain't there. This is the Republican Party.
That's right. And, we're glad that Liz Cheney is acting as a decent human being on this committee. But, medals cannot be given out to folks who have helped to create the situation that we have today. It's just like you said, Democrats have got to wake up and realize that there is a significant segment of white men in this country who would rather see democracy go away rather than have to share power with all of us who should have access to the ballot box equally. That is what their party is about. That is what they are about. And it's interesting, as you pointed out before, in Georgia, here, the Republicans had expanded access to absentee balloting. They had made the process easier when their voters were using it. And as soon as Black and brown voters started to use it and they no longer were able to easily use that process to get elected, that's when they wanted to change the rules. And they're still in the process of that. We've seen nothing but voter suppression bills come through more and more since 2020.
What we're also are seeing, these folks are trying to put individuals in position who are going to ignore the law and rule in their favor. The people they're running for secretaries of state, Trump was absolutely against Kemp as well as Raffensperger, and he got beat back by Republican voters there. But they have not stopped. They want to take over local election boards. They changed the law where they can be able to impact and take over the Fulton County Elections Board. They do not want Black people in charge of elections. They do not want there to be any progressives or liberals. They want to run the entire election apparatus in order to achieve their ultimate goal, which is power.
Roland, it is like you have lived in Georgia, because not only did they do that in Fulton County, they also in this past legislative session ran a string of bills that basically amounted to gutting local election boards in every county that was, that had majority Black voters or trending Black and brown, where they had a Republican commission. So what these bills look like is basically the gutting of all current members and then allowing these Republican control county commissions to set up new election boards. So we have got to understand what time it is. The other thing I'll mention is much of the, nation talks about Brad Raffensperger as a hero. He's not. It's, as you said before, all of these folks have contributed to this. And anybody who watched the Georgia hearings, when we had the hearings, saw that at one point I did confront Brad Raffensperger on the fact that he was the one telling the big lie about election fraud before the president was. So this guy is no hero. They have all been in this together. And I think that the only reason that Brad Raffensperger stepped away from what the president wanted him to do was because he didn't want to go to jail. So we've got to realize who all of these people are, and it's not just limited to Trump.
And again, people are lionizing Mike Pence as if he did something great, when the fact of the matter is, when Mike Pence was approached with his attempted coup, he didn't call the FBI, he didn't call the DOJ, he didn't call a lawyer, he called former Vice President Dan Quayle. And so I'm not sitting here praising his ass as if somehow he did something so right. No, what Vice President Mike Pence did and what the rest of these people did, they stayed silent. They said nothing, because the truth be told, they sat back and quietly was like, we hope it actually succeeds so we can stay in power.
Absolutely.
Representative Shannon, we certainly appreciate you coming on the show. Thanks a bunch.
Thank you for having me.
All right, let's go back to our panel. I'm telling you, Michael, I keep trying to tell folk, if you keep trying to make this thing about Trump, you are losing the larger issue. This is the entire Republican Party. And if we, and I get what the committee is doing, but now they still are sort of, we don't know about Jenny Thomas. What the hell are you doing? There are 9 Supreme Court justices. She's sleeping with one of them. And you're sitting here afraid to really pull her into this? No, this committee should be expanding its investigation and should be saying anybody that's involved. And here's the crazy thing that I don't understand. I am very confused. The Department of Justice is now requesting documents from the committee regarding the activities of the Proud Boys. How in the hell they didn't already have them?
Well, when I've been following this rolling. I watched the third hearing yesterday. The Department of Justice has their own investigation, but they want to corroborate what they have investigated with what the January 6th committee has.
No, what I'm saying is, if you're the January 6th committee, you don't just sit there and just hold on to it for yourself. As they were gathering stuff, they should have been saying, send a copy to DOJ.
Well, Representative Benny Thompson said today when he was surrounded by reporters and they showed it on MSNBC, he said that they are continuing their investigation. And he said they don't have time to, he said they will cooperate with the Department of Justice, but they don't have time to stop right now with their investigation to provide the Department of Justice what they need. Now,
no, it's a copy machine. It's called, take that shit to Kinko's and make some copies.
Not Kinko's. Does that even exist anymore?
Yes, FedEx bought them.
FedEx, Kinko's. Right. I understand, Roland. So we'll see what happens with that. They're gonna cooperate with the Department of Justice, okay? But something more important here, because so much information has come out from this. Trump is at the center, but this is bigger than Trump. And the reason why it's bigger than Trump is because we saw what came out in the third hearing yesterday, and the culpability of John Eastman, who was one of Trump's attorneys, and John Eastman pushing to have Pence invalidate the votes, even though he knew it was illegal. And Greg Jacob, who was Vice President Mike Pence's one of his top attorneys, Greg Jacob testified to this, and he told him, he said, look, if this goes to the Supreme Court, we're going to lose 9-0. And eventually, John Eastman agreed as well. So there are multiple parts. The Proud Boys are part of this. And when the Proud Boys testified, you have Rudy Giuliani, you have Peter Navarro. There are multiple parts, but they're working for Trump. Now, very quickly here, to talk about Georgia, it's important to understand these voter suppression bills are based upon the big lie that Donald Trump pushed. But they are being crafted largely by Heritage Action for America. Heritage Action for America was exposed by Mother Jones back in May of 2021. Jessica Anderson was caught speaking to a group of donors in Tucson, Arizona, and revealing that Heritage Action was the one who was crafting these boilerplate bills to these voter suppression bills, and she said they crafted the one, SB 202 in Georgia, and these are being copied by other states as well, with Republican state legislatures and signing the law by Republican governors. So this is much larger than just Trump, but Trump is at the center of this. And you know, the Federalist Society and the Heritage Foundation also, Roland, you know this, these were the two organizations who were providing Donald Trump with lists of ultra-conservative federal judges.
Of course. Look, the bottom line here, Kelly, again, I'm going to keep saying this. It is the entire conservative movement. It's all of them. They are all complicit. They have one goal: stay in power. Even punk-ass Bill Barr, who everybody talked about, he called Trump's, claims bullshit. Even punk-ass Bill Barr on his book tour said that if Trump was a nominee, he would support him. Now, how trifling can you be to work for that thug? And you saw what he did, and you see all of this, and you actually say, yeah, if he's a nominee, I will support him. Mitch McConnell, if he's a nominee, I will support him. They don't give a damn about the law. I don't want to hear shit from any Republican about law and order. They do not care. They care about power. which is why I need these sorry-ass Dems to stop being so, nice and squeaky clean, to realize you are fighting thugs. And when you fighting a thug, you gotta pick up a 2x4 or a brick or a pipe or whatever to win, because they ain't playing by no damn rules.
Because there are no rules to be had. There are no rules of engagement when you are at war, right? Like real scrappy war, not talking about like the art of war. To your point about this being the conservative movement, I kind of want to push back against that and just say that this is the white supremacy movement.
No, that's the same thing.
Well, yes-ish, right? Because the people that you're seeing right now, they're all white. So you're not going to be like, oh, this is white supremacy. It's kind of like, duh, yes, it's white supremacy. But there are black people who also support Donald Trump.
It was, baby, Kelly, Isaiah T. Montgomery went to the Mississippi Convention in 1890 and voted with the Republicans to take the votes of the right of black folks to vote away. So, yeah, look, what was the skit on Chappelle's show? What was the skit? What was it, Tyrone who? What was it, Tyrone?
Tyrone Biggum.
Tyrone Biggum?
Tyrone Biggum.
Hell, they exist. It's the same.
But I want to call a thing, right?
Yeah,
because
the Republican Party, the conservative movement.
I would rather just call them white supremacists.
No. See, no, you can't do that, Kelly. Because see, here's why. Here's what they do. I'm not a white supremacist. How dare you call me that? So no, I'm going to say what it is. The entire conservative movement, the entire Republican Party. I ain't going to give you no wiggle room, because see, here's what happens. We then get into a debate. I'm not a white supremacist. Yes, you are. I'm not a white supremacist. Yes, you are. I'm going to take that off the table. I'm saying the entire Republican Party, the entire conservative movement has no problem and are fully aligned with all of the actions of these people, from voter suppression to trying to steal the election, to trying to position themselves to steal future elections. They do not care. They are making excuses. Congressman Jim Jordan was like, well, we ain't learning anything new. Right today, Donald Trump is speaking at Ralph Reed's Faith and Freedom Conference. Let me repeat that. Faith and freedom. So-called Christian Ralph Reed. You got a known liar speaking at your convention. Matter of fact, again, Kelly, that's why I got to call it, call it what it is. The known liar, I got one. Matter of fact, play crazy ass white people, please. Don't go to my video. Play crazy ass white people. Don't go to my video.
I'm white. I got you. Illegally selling water without a permit
on my property.
Whoa! Hey! Give us your ID.
You don't live here.
I'm uncomfortable.
At the Faith and Freedom Conference, listen what the liar said about MLK.
It's true. Now think of how bad a person do you have to be. You know it's a fake story. It was made up by him and Hillary Clinton and all these.
All right, video froze here. Y'all, this fool Kelly said he had more people at his January 6th rally than MLK had the I Have a Dream speech. But here's my whole point. Y'all, show the video. No, go to the video. I want you to see the graphic. It's faith and freedom. No, it's faith and freedom. Ralph Reed,
it was made up.
Ralph Reed is such a supporter of a liar. They ain't no real damn Christians.
Right.
And so this is who they are. And so the problem is when we know what they are, but the problem is when you hit them with that, mainstream media doesn't want to go there. They don't want to call them that. So my whole deal is going to say no. Your entire apparatus, your foundations, your political leaders, RNC, the state people, the entire infrastructure of the Republican Party It's about staying in power. And Dems are, what my man Joe Morton said on Scandal, you're running around in the field of daisies while bombs are going all around you. That's Democrats. They just run around, oh no, everything's great. No. These people are evil. Evil. Kelly, then to run.
No, I mean, I disagree with your approach, but I agree with everything that you said as far as, like, you are right. They are they are Republicans. They are conservatives. I personally think that we need to call it out more often so that it is more comfortable in the mouths of the media to call them white supremacists, because until we get comfortable with that, it is still going to be a taboo issue that people stray away from. And by white supremacists, I don't just mean white rich men. I mean Black people who uphold whiteness. I mean other people of color who uphold whiteness. We all need to rethink what white supremacy is. It is not just white people wanting to preserve whiteness. It is anybody who wants to preserve whiteness, and at the expense of other races, at the expense of other people in this country. So until we get that kind of vocabulary, that kind of lexicon into mainstream media, you're right. Every time we say it, it's going to be an issue and people are going to back away from it. But until we start talking about it regularly, because there are plenty of catchphrases and titles and labels that were considered taboo that were not in media for a long time. But it wasn't until we started saying it again and again and again that we got comfortable with it, to the point where it's no longer taboo, to the point where no one else knows what else to call it but the thing that it is. I want the phrase and the notion of white supremacy to get to that point.
Here's the whole deal. Look,
that's what I'm saying.
Look, Torun, I got a book coming out called White Fear in September, but here's the reality. In the last election, 72% of the overall electorate was white. So, look, I get the point. I get calling it that, but the point I'm going to make is if I call out the lawlessness, the lying, the hypocrisy, and all of that, what I'm trying to do is to get to those white folks who will never see themselves as that. Oh no, you're not talking about me. Because again, part of the problem in this America, whenever you have this conversation about racist, non-racist, what has happened is the notion that you're racist if there's a burning cross in the front yard, or if you got somebody on tape with the N-word. Otherwise, them white folks like, that's not me. Oh, that's not me. What I am trying to say is the entire conservative movement, Joe Biden, there is no your grandfather's Republican Party. It's dead. It's gone. It's extinct. There's no such thing as moderate Republicans. There's no such thing as liberal Republicans. You do not find Black Republicans like Senator Ed Brooke in today's Republican Party. Senator Tim Scott will never be an Ed Brooke. Burgess Owens in the House will never be an Ed Brooke. Donalds out of Florida will never be an Ed Brooke. It's gone. So I wish Biden would stop acting as if it's going to return. And if I talk to them nicely, it's going to happen. It is not. These people care about one thing: winning. Period. Nothing else matters. Nothing. And they will continue to push the lies over and over and over and over. And again, for Donald Trump, look, this is a story from Media right here. New poll, whopping 59% of Fox News viewers believe Trump behaved appropriately on January 6th. You can call them white supremacists, white nationalists. Bottom line is, they think they're fine with it. It's power to run. Power.
You know, there's a movie that I'm a fan of that I think everybody should see. It came out a couple of years ago. And it kind of ties into what we're talking about now. It's called Valkyrie. It's a Tom Cruise movie about the plot of a bunch of German officers to assassinate Adolf Hitler. If you look at that movie, there's a lot of strategizing that goes on in that film, but the overall overarching theme of that film is that people were so afraid of the specter of Adolf Hitler that they would not move. And I think that's what's happening with these hearings right now, because so many people are so focused on the specter of Donald Trump that nobody's talking about the apparatus around him to help to create a Donald Trump. Just like, you know, the German military and German voters who were in the midst of the Depression helped to create an Adolf Hitler. A lot of white supremacists and a lot of disgruntled white voters helped to create Donald Trump, along with the news media. So there's a lot of parallels there. Now, I think what's happening right now are two things. One is the demographics of the United States of America are changing. America is getting blacker and browner, and there's nothing that anybody can do to stop that, whether it's people who are coming in from other countries or it's the birth rates in America. If you're a white supremacist, that puts a fear into your heart that goes to the heart of most white supremacist theory. Even if we see what happened in Buffalo, a core tenet of white supremacist theory is the idea of replacement, that, you know, people who are of color, black people of other races, people of other ethnicities, even people of other orientations are going to overwhelm you with their birth rates and take you out. What that factors into electoral politics is that creates a group of people who are ready to vote. And most people in America vote for people who generally look like them, even more so than outside of whatever their policies are. So if you're a white supremacist, that scares you to death. And a lot of what we're seeing from the Republicans is people who are acting out on that fear, who have legislative power, and they don't want to see that whatever power they feel like they have is going away. That's why you saw, even to the point where when the January 6th riots took place, I don't call them insurrections. Those are basically race riots. When that happened, if you look at the police response to those riots, if you look at the old video, those people were allowed leeway that no other group who was set up that way and armed have been able to get in. They would have napalmed they would have napalmed the Senate building, and they would have machine gunned everybody who came in there, if that was the Panthers or anybody else, and we know that. So what I'm saying is there's an apparatus in this country that allows these things to happen, and there's an apparatus that treats these people with kid gloves instead of dealing with that. And that goes all the way back to Reconstruction. After the end of the Civil War, there were a few people in Congress who said, hey, we need to put the Confederate leadership on trial. We need to have war crimes trials just like they had in the Second World War. What happened was Grant and Lincoln said, let Robert Lee and his army go back home, give them their horses and their guns, and they'll keep the peace. And what happened? They immediately formed the Ku Klux Klan and started murdering and brutalizing newly enfranchised black people.
Well, also don't forget they actually gave the plantation owners their land back by saying once they essentially apologized for trying to succeed. Well,
exactly.
See how stupid that was.
Exactly, and we're dealing with that legacy up until this day. So that's the first thing. The first thing is the demographic shift in this country.
But hold up. But we got to caution with the demographic shift because you have a number of folks who are Latino who identify as white Hispanics.
That's true.
That's true. And look, I'm from Texas, and I'm telling you right now, there are individuals who are more aligned with that white supremacist view of the Republican Party. Again, it's there. It's a clear and present danger. 30 more seconds before I gotta go to a break.
No, I just want to finish up by saying this. Until we get out this idea on the Democratic side of trying to be everybody's friend and trying to keep decorum, we're never going to get any real progress. Like you said at the beginning of the piece, we're in a fight. And when you're in a fight, whether you initiate the fight or not, you better fight. And we got to get out of this idea of trying to be everybody's friend and pick up something and get to go to war with these people.
Again, they want power, period. And they will get it by any means necessary. When we come back, we'll talk about the Poor People's Campaign, the march taking place tomorrow here in Washington, D.C. Don't forget to support us at the Black Star Network. Download our Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. Support our Bring the Funk fan club. For every dollar you give goes to support this show. So you're checking money order to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. Cash App, $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland@RolandSMartin.com. Roland@RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. I'll be right back.
Love our new Alexa.
It's a Buick.
Yeah, Alexa.
Buick.
Alexa.
It's a Buick.
It's an Alexa.
It's a Buick.
It's an Alexa.
Coach, that's a Buick.
That's an Alexa.
The Buick Enclave with available Alexa built-in.
A powerful movement is rising across America.
From the Mississippi Delta to the Apache stronghold.
From the homeless encampments of Washington State to the coal fields of Appalachia of West Virginia.
We are the 140 million poor and low-wealth people in this country, and we are building the Poor People's Campaign, a national call for moral revival.
On June 18th, ahead of this year's midterm elections, while the Congress is still in session, we will hold a mass poor people's and low-wage workers assembly and moral march on Washington to arrest the attention of the nation, to put a face and a voice on poverty and low wages in this country.
This is a watershed moment for justice and democracy in America. There are those who say that transformative change is impossible, but history teaches us that it is precisely in times like these that people must build a broad and deep movement from the bottom up.
We must compel this nation to repent, to lament, and to see the realities that have been hidden for far too long.
On June 18th, we will come together to lift the voices of the poor and low-wage workers who know that change is not only possible, it is essential for our survival.
We will make the connections to show how systemic racism, poverty, ecological devastation, the denial of health care, the war economy, and the false moral narrative of religious nationalism and white supremacy are hurting us all. We will show the nation the faces of Americans who cannot afford to go back to normal.
We will detail the policies that can move us toward a society that works for everyone. And we will pledge to go home and build power for transformative change in this year's election and for years to come.
Because the question should have never been, how much will it cost to address poverty? The real question is, how much is it costing us not to?
Somebody's been hurting our people. It's gone on far too long.
And we won't be silent or unseen anymore.
Join us in D.C. on June 18th.
Build with us for a third reconstruction in America. Visit poorpeoplescampaign.org.
How about sushi?
I just had sushi for lunch yesterday.
How about tacos?
Automatic emergency braking, one of 6 advanced safety features standard on every 2022 Chevy Equinox. Find new technology. Find new roads. Chevrolet.
Tomorrow in Washington, D.C., the Poor People's Campaign will have their march here in the city. We'll be live broadcasting from there. Our coverage will begin at 9 a.m. Procession begins about that time, and then, of course, the program starts at 10 o'clock. We have been talking about this for the last several months. And, of course, this is also Father's Day weekend, Juneteenth weekend as well. The focus is on low-wage workers and the poor and establishing an agenda representing the 140 million low-wage workers across the country. Jack Golub joins us right now. He's a young teacher at a school with a majority of immigrants in Austin, Texas. He is already here. He'll be there tomorrow as well. Jack, glad to have you here. Again, centering this issue around low-wage workers is important, especially when you look at these numbers coming out. When you look at the massive wealth, people love talking about Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and all the money they have, them flying off to space. But not only that, I just saw the story where the United States Senate has added $45 billion to the defense budget, more than what the Biden folks are asking. Damn, we need 45 more billion for defense?
You're absolutely right, and thank you for having me on. One of the things that's important for us to remind ourselves is these problems are not new. It's not COVID that started defunding schools. It's not what happened in the wake of George Floyd getting murdered that has caused this attack on critical race theory. The foundations of our society, or at least the foundations of any kind of opportunity for upward mobility, have always been underfunded. they have long been ignored or neglected and left in a state of disrepair. And so it's very important for us to respond to some of the challenges like billionaires accumulating trillions of dollars during the pandemic while many people are evicted and go without a job. But these issues are not caused by COVID. They're caused by the system we've chosen to build, and for those of us that don't have as much power, that we've chosen to tolerate.
You know, Dr. King, he talked about the military-industrial complex. He talked about the amount of money that we were spending on the Vietnam War and how we could have adequately addressed the issue of poverty in this country. He talked about that President Lyndon Baines Johnson's War on Poverty, the Great Society, frankly, was interrupted and was shortened because of the resources that we were sending to Vietnam. And again, when I look at the numbers, look, we all support a national defense, but already we spend more money than the next 10 countries combined. And Biden's budget calls for an increase in the Department of Defense. They got an increase last year, and you had this massive increase under Trump, the bill for Senator John McCain. And so, damn, at what point does somebody say to the Department of Defense, you know what? Y'all gonna get the same amount of money y'all got last year because y'all getting way more money than anybody else right now anyway.
You're absolutely right. I remember, so one of the bigger actions of this last year, we came to DC to demand new voting rights legislation and to the passage of Build Back Better. And the sticker price of Build Back Better was pitched as this ridiculous, I forget exactly the number, $3 trillion. And yet we give 20 times that to the Pentagon every year. And so we like to pick and choose, or our elected officials like to pick and choose which standards or which expectations matter. And what you're saying reminded me, I'm not sure if it was Dan Patrick, but it was some Texas official who talked about how it's important for us to stop talking about racism and realize Dr. King's dream. But they conveniently ignore that there is no room for war in his dream. There is no room for poverty in his dream. There is no room for an economy dictated by exploitative special interests and not a generative economy that is both lifting from the bottom and just giving contributive opportunities to everyone. Now, all of that gets ignored. And so those people, and it's largely Republicans, but it's not just Republicans. They're selective about which parts of the message that they want to share. And so part of this movement, especially tomorrow, is we're giving you the whole message. There's a reason that you heard Reverend Barbara and Reverend Liz talk about all those issues: systemic racism, poverty, ecological devastation. They're all happening at the same time. They're all intertwined. And if we try to just pick one of them, then the others will take its place. We've got to address all of them because it's an interlocking form of oppression. And so only that intersectional form of liberation is going to stop the oppression.
Well, look, this is one of the issues that's going to be addressed tomorrow. We really look forward to the march, and also it's still a shame that the White House has refused to meet with poor people campaign organizers and workers. They want to meet with Reverend Barbara, Reverend Liz Theo Harris, but they don't want to meet with the actually affected workers, and that to me is certainly a lost opportunity. Jack, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you for having me on.
All right. Kelly, this is utterly obscene. This is a story here where House Democrats, they were agreeing with Biden and offering this $762 billion for the defense, which, look, and it still hasn't increased. This is the story right here. And again, it's a $32 billion increase over the fiscal year 22 defense budget, okay? Again, okay, $32 billion increase, okay? Not small potatoes. Yet here, you've got the Senate Armed Services Committee. They want the bill to be $847 billion. That's damn near $1 trillion in 1 year for the defense. And don't forget, let me pull this up. You might remember when we gave more money to the Defense Department when I think it was that McCain bill. That was let's see here. Let's see what that bill was. That was $716 billion that went to them. We could go on and on and on, and it's amazing. We ain't got money for nothing else, but we damn sure got money for more and more defense spending.
I don't understand the rationale behind that outside of the theory, because I haven't really read into this, but my theory is that the only reason that the United States is considered a world power is because of its defense. Outside of that, we don't necessarily have anything worth giving to the rest of the global community because we just don't have it. Like, we have exported everything out. We have outsourced everything that Americans need outside of defense. And that is unfortunate because it means that the things that Americans do need aren't being met by our own government. But it does not surprise me that a country that still won't change gun laws, still won't acknowledge actual life, like the people who are on the planet as we speak aren't being protected nearly as much as a private investor in a defense firm. It is unfortunate, but it's also not surprising.
To run, I remember a story that came under, and this took place during the Obama administration. This is the story here. This was December 2016. Headline: Pentagon buries evidence of $125 billion in bureaucratic waste. $125 billion. Lee said the Pentagon has buried an internal study that exposed $125 billion in administrative waste in its business operations amid Congress would use the findings as an excuse to slash the defense budget. Well, no shit. And what I don't understand is, when are you gonna have political leaders say, yo, Pentagon, here's the whole deal. Why don't y'all get rid of the $125 billion in waste and then holler at us next year when it comes to giving y'all a raise? This real basic. If your brother or sister kept borrowing money from you and kept spending on some bullshit and wasting it, you could be like, yeah, dog, you ain't getting my money. Not from me.
You know, you will never go broke in Washington being either a middleman or a defense contractor.
Never.
You know, that's just the cold hard truth. You know, there will always be money. Like, you know, we just celebrated the anniversary, Tupac's anniversary. His classic line was, "They got money for wars but can't feed the poor." That's real. People in government can always find money for weapons. They can always find money for whatever they want to find it for. And as far as if we're talking about waste, that's probably a drop in the bucket compared to what's going on in 2022 that we won't know about till 10 more years. If you're dealing with bureaucracy, you're going to be dealing with some sort of lack of oversight. You're going to deal with incompetence, or you're going to deal with a lot of deliberate graft. But as far as back to the subject, America right now is the #1 military power on earth. China is a distant second. Nobody else is really in that ballpark. We have enough weaponry to be able to fund and defend ourselves, defend this country for the next maybe like 50 years. To the point that we are the #1, I don't want to butcher this, but I think we're the #1 weapon supplier on earth, if I'm not mistaken. There's always going to be money for that. There would not be a really big dent in America's defense budget if we took some of this income and we started looking at maybe dispersing this money out to people who definitely need it, people who are homeless, even homeless veterans who have to go and fight for everything they get after they've served this country. There is a lot. I think there's so much bulk and there's so much pork in the American government, and so many people are benefiting from that people who are poor and middle class are going to suffer the most. And they're already talking about another recession coming down the road. It's going to get really desperate. And to the point of the Democrats, obviously this is an election year. People who would ostensibly be voting Democrat are paying very close attention to where people's priorities are right now. People are living hand to mouth. People see money going over to the Ukraine. People see money going everywhere else except for the people who are right here. people who are, especially black voters who are supposed to be the quote unquote bedrock of the Democratic Party, are seeing all this stuff flying out left and right, where their material conditions are still the same. That's going to affect them in the ballot booth coming up real soon. And if they don't understand that, and it seems like they're determined not to, it's going to be a disaster come in the midterms, and especially in 2024.
There's a reason, Michael, why there's a defense contractor in every congressional district in America.
Well, defense is always big money. When we go back last week, we talked about World War II. We talked about the arsenal of democracy, and General Motors, Ford, and Chrysler had massive contracts with the federal government to produce military weapons, to produce Jeeps and B-24 Liberator bombers and things like this. There's always big money in defense contracts. The $125 billion in waste, yes, they need to reduce the fat, cut the fat, reduce the waste when it comes to the federal budget. But also, I think something that's very important for us to do, Roland, and maybe not on this show, but maybe in a future show. The fiscal year 2023 federal budget is about $7 trillion. It's available right now. I think it'd be good for us to go through that budget and see where this money is allocated, not just for defense, but overall general. We can look at defense. One of the things I want to know is, how is the money for the Defense Department allocated? What is it allocated for? But that's part of whatever's allocated to defense is part of approximately $7 trillion that the federal budget is. We need to look and see where that money is allocated as well, because one of the reasons why we look at see where that money is allocated also is because there are opportunities for contracts for African-American owned businesses as well with some of that money also. So we need to see. Well,
bottom line is the federal government spends $560 billion every year on contracts, and we're getting 1.67%. And so you can read the budget, but you got to have some folks who actually make some changes to how that money is actually going out. Kelly, comment.
No, I said what I said earlier. It is ridiculous how much we are wasting money on an export that does not necessarily benefit the American people. We have, literally Americans who are starving, and people would rather invest in an upgraded tank than, infrastructure and, fixing food deserts and the like. So, until we realize that people matter over wars, then we're going to continue this cycle, at least in this country.
Indeed, folks. So tight. 1 second, I got to go to a break. We come back. We're going to have our Black and Missing and also some headlines. Plus, some white men in Florida act a fool against a black teen. They get arrested, and one of them got fired from his McDonald's job. Guess what? His McDonald's was owned by a brother. I'll tell you about that when we come back. Hey, y'all on YouTube and Facebook, hit the like button. Y'all messing around on YouTube. We should be more than 1,000 likes by now. And so we got about a 3-minute break. When we come back, we should be over 1,000 likes. It don't make any sense whatsoever. I'm looking at 576. All right, y'all, come on. Hit the like button. It ain't that hard. It's a click, and you can move on and keep commenting. We'll be back on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Don't make me have to start cussing.
Love our new Alexa.
It's a Buick.
Yeah, Alexa.
Buick.
Alexa.
It's a Buick.
It's an Alexa.
It's a Buick.
It's an Alexa.
Coach, that's a Buick.
That's an Alexa.
The Buick Enclave with available Alexa built-in.
On the next Get Wealthy with me, Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, you'll hear from Elizabeth Davis. She left a flourishing career in the construction industry to build her own business using her same skill sets. And oh, by the way, now a multi-million-dollar business.
Every day I was looking at my numbers rather than looking at them weekly or monthly. When you're first starting your business, my recommendation is look at your numbers every day, because are they balancing out each day? If they're not balancing out for 3 days in a row, that means your week is going to be off.
That's right here on Get Wealthy, only on Black Star Network.
How about sushi?
I just had sushi for lunch yesterday.
How
How about tacos?
Automatic emergency braking, one of 6 advanced safety features standard on every 2022 Chevy Equinox. Find new technology. Find new roads. Chevrolet.
Hi, everybody. This is Jonathan Nelson.
Hi, this is Cheryl Lee Ralph, and you are watching Roland Martin, Unfiltered.
Ariel Stoudemire disappeared on June 8th from Raleigh, North Carolina. The 17-year-old is 5 feet 5 inches tall, weighs 180 pounds, with black hair and brown eyes. When she was last seen with red and braided hair. Ariel has her nose pierced, a tattoo on her neck. Anyone with information about Ariel should call the Raleigh, North Carolina Police Department at 919-831-6311, 919-831-6311. The funeral for 11-year-old Layla Salazar, who adored koala bears, loved the Dallas Cowboys, and danced in TikTok videos, was laid to rest today. Her family said she wanted her grandparents to pick her up as often as possible from school because they would treat her to tacos. She was among the last of the 21 victims of the May 24th mass shooting in the Texas town. The final funerals for the remaining victims would take place next week. Folks, it took more than 70 years, but freedom riders sentenced to a 1947 chain gang for involvement in the Journey to Reconciliation got their sentences vacated. Civil rights leader Bob Rushton and 3 other men were arrested in Orange County, North Carolina, after launching the first of the Freedom Rides, challenging the Jim Crow laws that mandated bus segregation. May was the 75th anniversary of the arrest, and 5 district court judges issued the following apology. In part, the Orange County Court was on the wrong side of the law in May 1947, and it was on the wrong side of history. Today, we stand before our community on behalf of all 5 district court judges for Orange and Chatham counties and accept the responsibility entrusted to us to do our part to eliminate racial disparities in our justice system. Also, folks, today is the 7th anniversary of the Emanuel 9. That is the African Americans who were killed in a church in Charleston, South Carolina by Dylan Roof. And so certainly our thoughts and prayers go out to the family as they still reflect on this day on what happened in that church at a Bible study. The white Michigan cop charged with the murder of Patrick Loyola has been fired in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Christopher Shum's firing comes after being charged with second-degree murder. He shot and killed the Congolese immigrant in the back of the head during a traffic stop. And again, he's already been indicted. Now he no longer has his job. A shooting at an Alabama church potluck rocked the community as the gunman was a congregation member. A 71-year-old man shot 2 elders and wounded 1 at a potluck held at St. Stephen's Episcopal Church in a suburb of Birmingham. The 2 elders, Walter Rainey and Sarah Yeager, died from their wounds, while the 3rd victim was hospitalized. Church members subdued the suspect until the police arrived. He's currently in custody facing capital murder charges. In Ohio, the Justice Department has secured a settlement with Ohio's Groveport-Madison Local School District Board of Education. The settlement resolves the department's complaint the board violated Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 when it discriminated against and retaliated against former Groveport-Madison High School assistant principal Amon Ra Dobbin. According to the complaint, Dobbins was unfairly disciplined for complaining about the school district's dress code policy. Dobbins believes it was implemented to discriminate against black students. The board is subject to enact a consent decree and pay the former assistant principal $200,000 in back pay and compensatory damages. Let's go to Florida, where 2 white men face federal hate crime charges for yelling racial slurs while violently attacking a black man. Roy Lashley and Robert Lashley are accused of calling the black man names and repeatedly striking the victim with closed fist and an axe handle. The defendants each face a maximum term of 10 years imprisonment, 3 years of mandatory supervised release, and a $250,000 fine if convicted. Here's first of all, another story that came across, and then folks had reached out to me, and that is it dealt with a black teen who was impacted. So the teen's sister put this video out showing these white men attacking her brother, and one of them was Howard Hughes. It took place in Sanford, Florida. That, of course, is where Trayvon Martin was shot and killed. Here's that particular video. I'll talk over it. You actually, go ahead and roll it, please. So you actually see they threw a rock in the car and came after him. You see the damages that were done to that particular car. The initial reports said that the men were owners of McDonald's franchises, when in fact that wasn't the case. One of the men, you see him right there in the blue shirt, that's Howard Hughes. Well, he actually worked at a McDonald's franchise. Oh, I'm sorry, he used to work at a McDonald's franchise. Why is that? Because he has been fired from that McDonald's franchise. Y'all know why he got fired? One, because of the situation. By the way, the owner of that McDonald's is black, and that owner name is Jim Gilchrist. And so Howard no longer has his job. I keep telling y'all, let these folk act a fool, y'all gonna lose y'all job. We're more than happy to see you replaced by somebody black. Folks, got to go to a break. We come back. We'll hear from the president of Talladega College. We also have our Education Matters segment. All that and more on Roland Martin Unfiltered right here on the Black Star Network. Download our app. Available on all platforms: Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV, and of course, join our Bring the Funk fan club where every dollar you give goes to support this show. Check and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. And Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. We'll be right back.
iPhone 13 on us for every customer. Current, new, everyone. To show the love.
How about sushi?
I just had sushi for lunch yesterday.
How about tacos? Automatic emergency braking, one of 6 advanced safety features standard on every 2022 Chevy Equinox. Find new technology. Find new roads. Chevrolet.
On the next Black Table, with me, Greg Carr. An amazing conversation with one of the most important thinkers of the last century. If you've ever taken an African American Studies course, he is one of the pioneers that made it possible.
We didn't come to UMass grateful to be there. We brought in people that were better than the white people that were there.
Professor John H. Bracey Jr., historian, activist, prolific author, and amazing teacher. He joins us on the next Black Table, only on the Black Star Network.
Love our new Alexa.
It's a Buick.
Yeah, Alexa.
Buick.
Alexa.
It's a Buick.
It's an Alexa.
It's a Buick.
It's an Alexa.
Coach, that's a Buick.
That's an Alexa.
The Buick Enclave with available Alexa built-in.
On the next Get Wealthy with me, Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, you'll hear from Elizabeth Davis. She left a flourishing career in the construction industry to build her own business using her same skill sets. And oh, by the way, now a multi-million-dollar business.
Every day I was looking at my numbers rather than looking at them weekly or monthly. When you're first starting your business, my recommendation is look at your numbers every day, because are they balancing out each day? If they're not balancing out for 3 days in a row, that means your week is going to be off.
That's right here on Get Wealthy, only on Black Star Network.
On the next A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie, we're talking all things mental health and how helping others can help you. We all have moments where we have struggles, and on this week's show, our guests demonstrate how helping others can also help you. Why you should never stop giving and serving others on a next A Balanced Life here on Black Star Network.
How y'all doing? It's your favorite funny girl, Amanda Seals.
Hi, I'm Anthony Brown from Anthony Brown and Group Therapy.
What up, Lana Well, and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
To understand how COVID impacted black people and how you still have this racial inequality economically in this country, which is one of the themes of the Poor People's Campaign we talk about tomorrow. A new study from the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities showed the impact of COVID on people of color. The report is shocking, and that is, in September 2020, 55% of all adult renters reported a loss of income due to COVID. For Latinos and black folks, 65 and 57%. But really what jumps out here, to run, is that when you look at here, black families with children struggle the most. An average of 32% said they were behind on rent, compared to 23% for Latino and Asian families with children and 18% for white families. People are always talking about, oh, we don't see systemic racism, these things don't matter. But here's a perfect example of how when COVID hits, when there's a pandemic, when there's a downturn, a recession, black people and Latinos, Asians are greatly impacted economically.
And anytime the American economy coughs, black people get sick. And unfortunately, you know, what are the numbers now that black people as a whole have maybe just enough money to cover like 1 month of being out of work, and then you're facing homelessness or some sort of disaster. A lot of black people don't have enough money to cover themselves for that last couple of months. And this is a pandemic that's going on almost 2.5 years, and people still have not recovered from it. If you are, I mean, you look at the disparities between white income and black income, then it just makes sense that people who are out of work or have to take out of their savings to cover their bills are going to be affected by this. And if you are a single parent with children who have to be provided for every day, that even makes it more stressful. So unfortunately, I'm not surprised by any of these numbers, which goes back to my point earlier about we need to try to siphon some money away from so much focus on defense and military spending, and maybe move some of this money over to people who really desperately need it, who are in this country right now.
Kelly, here's what it says. Go back to the graphic. Federal aid programs have helped cut the number of struggling renters, but still, right now, 10.4 million renters say they have yet to get caught up on rent.
I mean, that doesn't surprise me. I mean, with what's going, like, I live in DC, right? And I have been fortunate to have relatively affordable rent for somebody who lives in DC proper. But for many people, friends, family, colleagues, everyone, rent is way too damn high. Like, the rent is too damn high. And for people who suffered at the hands of lack of employment as a result of the pandemic, I can't imagine how they could have caught up. Is even if it's been 2.5 years, just because the rent didn't, for a lot of buildings, did not stop increasing, or they just started increasing within the last year because there was like a moratorium on rent increases. But even with that moratorium, the rent was too high then. So I can only imagine how they are faring now. It is ridiculous. Housing should not be a privilege, especially when it is so integral to life in this country, or having a productive life in this country. Something's got to be done about it. I'm just not sure exactly what or how, or if it's going to be done at all.
Michael, also what it shows here, go back to the graphic, 8 of the 10 states with the highest rates of housing hardship in the South, where, of course, African Americans make up a larger share of renters compared to other regions.
Yeah, you know, Roland, the housing crisis is getting worse. And then there was a report that came out today. I think it was on MSNBC. They were talking about it today. And I've seen it over the past couple of weeks, where you have corporations who are buying up single bedroom homes, okay, and then renting them out at inflated rates as well. So we know there was $46.5 billion in the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan for renters as well as landlords. That's largely been exhausted, even though some states may still have a little money left. But this is, we're really about to hit a crisis as evictions have started back up. And as evictions escalate, we're really about to start to hit a crisis when it comes to housing if this is not addressed. And it's going to have to come from federal, state, and local government. Okay, I don't think it's just going to be federal government. But one of the things that has to happen as we deal with inflation and we deal with 8.6% inflation year over year, one of the things that is going to have to happen is somehow you're going to have to rein in these corporations that are buying up these homes and then renting them out at inflated prices.
Well, bottom line is everybody's trying to make money, and that's contributing greatly to inflation. All right, folks, time for HBCU Connect. This week in Alabama at the this week in Atlanta at the UNCF Summit for Black Higher Education, I caught up with Dr. Gregory Vincent, the new president at Talladega College, where he talked about what he has plans for the first place that he has become the head man in charge. Here is our discussion. All right, Greg, so let's talk about this new thing you're doing. You're a first-timer, right?
Yeah. Yep, at HBCU. First of all, I just want to say, brother, I'm so proud of you. I know we all are. Well-deserved award and Hall of Fame, because you have kept it real. And I just want to say we support you, we love you.
Appreciate it.
But yeah, it's new. It's a new opportunity to lead a historically black organization. As you know, I had another great opportunity to lead another historic black organization, the Boulay. And so some similarities, but some significant differences. But it's all about advocating for the permanent interests of black people. And that's what I'm excited about.
So what was it? I mean, taking on the task of being a university president is a whole different deal.
Yeah.
And certainly going to an HBCU. And so when you look at the other places that you've been, what was that moment where you said, I want this, I need to do this?
Yeah, two things. One, the call of the founders. You know, to think about two newly freed men who created this educational institution to educate generations to come, called to me. So that's the first thing. I was also impressed with the sophistication of the board. They're very strong, very committed. Some are Talladegans, some are not. But I was very impressed with them. And then meeting the young people, the students and the alums are just so incredible. We're here at the UNCF Forum. The person who tagged the terrible thing away is a Talladegan, Dr. Long, right, who was also a UNCF president. So this permeates. And so it was a great calling to come to an HBCU, particularly at this point in my career.
You mentioned leading the Boulay, Sigma Pi Phi, and now you're talking about HBCU. One of the things that I have consistently said is that there's a fundamental problem, I believe, with many of our black institutions. What I mean by that is, too often, and COVID exposed this, that many of our institutions are 15, 20 years behind. Whether we're talking about black churches, whether we're talking about black colleges, whether we're talking about black organizations, in terms of being able to operating in the same space now. So what COVID did, COVID forced a lot of universities. They had no choice but to do online. They had no choice but to change how they were recruiting, how they were doing business. And I think if there was a silver lining, if you will, with COVID, I think that's what it did. It forced a reevaluation of how our black institutions were doing business.
Yeah, Brother Martin, I will tell you that for a sector that's supposed to be filled with a bunch of progressives and liberals, we're a very conservative enterprise, right? We don't like a lot of change.
Or
and
risk.
You're right. Yeah, right. And so there have been these global events that have changed higher education. You think about World War II. You think about COVID, right? It's these external events that have impacted us, has caused us to change, and we're oftentimes reacting to these global changes, right? And so you're absolutely correct. I think what makes this forum and this, Unite so powerful is how do we collectively use our resources for the greater good, right? Because one institution can't do it all, but collectively we can make it happen.
And I also think it is, you mentioned board. And again, one of my greatest criticisms of our institutions is that we have folk who are in positions of power who never sat at the table of power.
Yeah, yeah.
So we have folks who, but you take boards. I say it all the time. You don't sit on board of trustees to get power. No, you bring something to the table. Do you bring relationships? Do you bring fundraising? Do you bring expertise? And that's one of the reasons why I think too often we've had stagnation. And even when you talk about the whole issue with trying to move change, if you have folk at the table who have never played at this level, well, then there's no way the institution or the organization can ever get to that level, because you gotta have folk who are with you as opposed to you constantly fighting with them, trying to get them to understand why we need to get to this level.
You know this better than anyone. Talent, talent, talent at all levels, from the board to the executive leadership, to your faculty, to the students. You have to have talent. You hit it so well. One of the things that I appreciate about Talladega, they didn't want to be in-house. They wanted people from different backgrounds, different perspectives. There have been people, to your point, and I love the point you made, who have been responsible executives in their organizations. They are leading. They're bringing in profit and loss, right? They understand these issues. And I agree. And they love the institution.
Now the outside piece I do think is also critical, because one of the, when I've had conversations with the folks and we've talked about historically out HBCUs, there's this reluctance to have somebody who didn't go to a HBCU. And then it's, oh, well, you don't understand the HBCU way. And the flip side is, I understand P&L, I understand shrinking enrollment, I understand you're gonna go out of business. Yeah. So the deal is, if you can get somebody who brings a special skill set that can elevate your institution, that's who you need to be choosing.
Brother Martin, we have one of these executives that you so astutely picked out is the CEO of the Alabama Institute for the Deaf and Blind. He happens to be white. His son went to the school. He encouraged his son to go for a whole host of reasons. And so that's a great example. But one thing about Talladega and so many of these other institutions, we've been ahead of the curve around commitment to being inclusive. Our fraternity was our first, interracial fraternity. We've been about this all along. So why are we afraid to have people from different backgrounds and perspectives? I think it's important that we do that.
When you visited the university, what have you discovered to be your greatest need, your greatest priority?
Yeah, you know this well, deferred maintenance, right, and the upkeep. Very often we put that to the side, and that's why they call it deferred maintenance,
well,
right?
That's an American thing, too.
Yeah.
We wait for stuff to literally fall apart, then go, I guess we ought to fix it.
Right. So I would say that's the greatest thing. This is an amazing campus. We had part of the Underground Railroad on our campus. We have these buildings and institutions that breathe history. The Dr. Harvey Museum now houses the Amistad murals that are valued at $50 million. Thanks to his generosity, we're now able to preserve them. They were at risk of being destroyed forever, but for proper curation, right? And so that institution, we know many institutions that are having problems in their residence halls. How can you learn when you're worried about, am I safe, right? So that's important as well.
Have you, where's the university now when it comes to its enrollment?
Yeah, we're about 1,300 students.
Now, what's the highest it's ever been?
That's the highest it's been.
That's the highest it's been.
And you raised something else that's important about online learning. One of our most important programs is what we call our fast track program. That's the program that Coach Sanders, Deion Sanders, finished. That's going to be a very important part of our teaching and learning.
So if you're at 1,300, where do you want to be in terms? What is your campus capacity in terms of on campus.
If I looked at using the summers, using off, study abroad, all of that, I think we can very easily enroll 1,700 students at some form or fashion, and I think that's a good steady state for us.
What are your dominant programs, your dominant degree programs?
Yeah, psychology, the sciences. We are well known for our sciences. Criminal justice is a huge issue. Our business programs, much like every other school, all of our students want to be entrepreneurs, so they want to understand that business context. They want to be the next Roland Martin.
Well, here's the one thing. It's so interesting when folks come up to me, especially a lot of students, and they say, I want to do what you do, and my response is, but do you want to do what I did?
That's it.
Because I think what happens is folks, they see this, so
Right.
they see name on this, so they see the lights, everything like this, but what they don't really say is, okay, but what goes behind this? All of the stuff that you actually don't see, and I think that's something that I am constantly trying to explain to people, that's the part of entrepreneurship and owning that some don't quite understand.
But you know that line from Jay-Z, right? I'm not a businessman, I'm a businessman, right? But look at all what he had to do. He was dancing at other people's videos, and look at him now, the work that he put in to make that happen.
Last question. 5 years from now, if someone is talking to you, what should Talladega look like?
Yeah, I had the honor of presenting a proclamation to Dr. William Harvey, because he's a Talladegan. And I would like to see that trajectory for Talladega. It was already a great institution going higher. Building up our endowment, making sure that our students are going to the best schools for graduate school, professional schools, building up our faculty so that we have world-renowned researchers and teachers as well. And a school where our brand is known across the globe.
All right then. Well, my alpha brother, Boulay brother, I appreciate it.
Man, it's good to see you.
Congratulations. And good luck.
You.
All right, folks, got to go to the break. We come back, our Education Matters segment. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network.
Next on the Black Table with me, Greg Carr, a very different take on Juneteenth with the one and only Dr. Sunyata Ahmed. We'll explore the amazing foods, remedies, and rituals that are a part of our history and the Juneteenth holiday.
So it's our responsibility to return the healthier version to our folks instead of just the red liqueurs marketed to us, the red sodas and the other things. I mean, why does the Kool-Aid man have to sound like Louis Armstrong? He's like, oh yeah!
Yeah, right. An enlightening and tasty hour of the Black Table, only on the Black Star Network.
What's going on? This is Tobias Trevelyan.
Hey, I'm Amber Stevens-West.
Yo, what up, y'all? This is Jay Ellis, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
No one child gets left behind. That is the message one organization is spreading across the nation. Every Child Counts, Inc. is a Pennsylvania-based nonprofit whose mission is to improve the lives of children from birth to 18 living in high-risk situations. One of the ways they hope to achieve that is through Operation Graduate. Here to tell us about Operation Graduate is Dr. June Elcock-Messam, president and founding member of Every Child Counts, Inc. She joins us now from Delaware County. It's glad to have you here. So what is Operation Graduate?
So Operation Graduate is an amazing program that we have each year. We honored about 20 kids that are nominated by schools around the county, and we provide all of their college supplies, and this year we hope to provide scholarships for each of them. We provide also mentoring for them. We're hoping that one child at a time we can teach them how to get out of poverty, how to get out of their situation, come back to the situation and teach another child how to do it. If we can help one child at a time to get out of this their situation, whatever it is, whether if it is that they were hurt, whether it is that they're just poor, whatever the situation is, if we can help one child at a time be the best that they can be, we hope to do that for them.
How many folks have gone through your program thus far?
So we have been a nonprofit about 3 years now, and we just have over 60 kids.
Okay, and what is your capacity? How many are you looking to be a part of this?
So every year, so far, we've only had enough money raised to do 20 children. And so that is our goal for this year. Again, on July the 23rd, we're going to have a ceremony to honor them. And we're going to have, hopefully this year, we're going to have mentors on site for them, because that is one thing that is underutilized. And I think it's a really incredibly key component of this program to keep them, to support them, to guide them through this process. And so right now we can only have 20 kids. As we grow, we hope to have more children.
All right, then. Questions? Kelly, you're first.
So with a lot of programs involving children, it seems that it's kind of one-dimensional. Can you explain the importance of the holistic wellness of every child counts, and how and what you need out of stakeholders and people watching this so that you can expand this program even further?
So actually, every child counts. We work with kids from birth on, young kids on. We have several different programs. So we take them, if they come in at a younger age group, we actually try to keep them involved with us, whether it's initially they just need food initially. We start giving them books at a young age. We try to helping them at a young age and keep them engaged and involved and get them into counseling or whatever they need, so we can get them through to the end program, which is our end program is Operation Graduate. So we try to look at everything holistically. I find that in our community, I can't speak for everyone, right? Talk therapy is not necessarily the kind of therapy that our kids want to utilize. And in our community, so we have negotiated with a movement therapist, a music therapist, a yoga therapist. And so we will take these kids wherever they are. You want to rap, you want to sing, we're going to help you do that. If you need to write lyrics to recover from whatever it is, we're going to help you do that. And so we try to deal with the whole family and to help them so that we can rise the whole family up. Because when a child is hurt, a family is hurt. And so every event that we have, we bring the whole family in.
Toran?
Good evening. You spoke to the importance of mentorship when you were speaking earlier. Can you talk a little bit about what sort of mentorship you do for these children? Do you talk to, do you have children and people at each age group who are around their age to talk to them as they're being mentored?
So actually right now we just have for Operation Graduate, so the high school grads going to college, we try to pair them with a mentor. It is underutilized right now because the mentors are not on site. So that is something that we're trying to change this year. This year, we're going to have a child who's paired with a mentor, and they're going to be on site on the day that they receive their award and their scholarship. So we're hoping to work with a local sorority and fraternity and have them coming on site on that day. And I think it's crucial for kids to have that mentoring program.
All right, then. Well, June L. Cock, we certainly appreciate it. Where can people get more information if they want to donate and help? Where would they go?
ECCinc.org. That is our ECCinc.org. That's our Facebook. We have Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. You can reach us on any of these sites.
Okay. All right. Well, we certainly appreciate it. Thank you so very much and good luck.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us.
All right, well, folks, before I get out of here, yesterday I gave a Juneteenth speech last night to the city of Missouri City, Texas. I certainly appreciate y'all having me. If y'all want to see the speech, simply go to the Black Star Network or go to our YouTube channel. You can actually see that program. We live streamed it last night as well. And let me also shout out my homegirl, Rochelle Carey. She, of course, she's a native of Houston, Baylor graduate. We worked together at CNN. We had the opportunity to catch up yesterday. This is her photo there, so we had a chance to catch up. She's about to launch some new content on her YouTube channel, and so I went to her. She had 393 subscribers, y'all. I said, Rochelle, that don't make no sense. I said, we're going to get you at least 2,000 new subs in the next 24 hours. So y'all go to her YouTube channel and check it out. YouTube.com/Rochelle Carey. RICHELLECAREY. Let's get her numbers up. She started with I saw 393 today. I just posted our image on social media. So I told her, I said, yeah, we're going to at least get you 2,000 in the next 24 hours. Because, child, 393 ain't good enough, Rochelle. That's it. Michael M. Hotep had to bounce. Kelly, I appreciate it. Total Run Walker, thanks a lot for being with us as well. Folks, tomorrow we are broadcasting live from the nation's capital for the Poor People's Campaign. Look forward to that. And also, so I was not supposed to be here today. I was supposed to be at the University of Michigan for their Juneteenth event. My 6 a.m. flight on Delta from Houston was canceled. And literally, there was no other flight that got me to Michigan in time to give the speech. We checked everybody. We checked every airline, Southwest. My sister even checked Spirit. Now, y'all know damn well we were trying to actually make this speech. We were unable to do so. I even looked into chartering a plane and literally could not find anything. And so I want to thank the University of Michigan for inviting me. I was there several years ago with Jane Elliott. I hope to go back. And so we tried every single thing to get there. And I just hate that we could not do it. And that was one of the members of the Little Rock Nine who was speaking there as well. And so I definitely wanted to be there, but there was just no way. These airlines now all over the place. And so it's just crazy now what is happening with these flights. And so we just could not do it. Okay, come on, YouTube. We 20 away from hitting 1,000 likes. Seriously, y'all hit the like button. This ain't that hard. Come on, hit the like button. We should hit 1,000 before all of our names go by. These are all the members of our Bring the Funk fan club. Every Friday, we show their names. If you don't see your name, now some of y'all keep saying, man, it's going by too fast. All y'all got to do is sit here and record the show, then slow it down to find your name. We put first names first, because that's in terms of how our spreadsheet goes. So first names first. So y'all, it ain't hard to find your name. So if you have not been able to see your name, let me know. I'll be sure to have Keenan add your name to the list so we can make sure that you are on there. And so finally, y'all hit 1,000. Y'all, I should not have to be begging y'all to hit the like button. The moment you log on before you start commenting, hit the like button, okay? That's it. We got to go get some sleep. Our whole team is going to be out there tomorrow covering the march. Don't forget, we go live at 9 a.m. We'll be there nonstop also. I'll be on Simone Sanders' MSNBC show tomorrow, 4 p.m. from the mall as well. All right, folks, until then, I'll see y'all.